Welcome to this tutorial presented by oraclecoach.com. This is Claire Rajan, and in this video tutorial I'll go over some of the concepts related to the redo log files of the Oracle database. Redo log files are used for recovery purposes, especially instance recovery. This slide is an overview of the different types of files belonging to an Oracle database. First mentioned are the control files that contain all the information about the database. Next are the redo log files. Redo log files contain a sequential record of changes that happen in the database. Redo log files usually have a .log extension, and they are primarily used for recovery purposes. Data files are mentioned next. Data files store the data. Data files have a .dbf extension. Mentioned last are the archive log files that are offline copies of the redo log files and are also used for recovery purposes, especially media recovery. Of these files, the archive log files are optional files. We'll now learn about the redo log files in greater detail. The redo log files, as I mentioned earlier, are the files that contain a record of changes that occur in the database. These changes include all the transactions, including data definition language, DDL, data manipulation language, DML, and even data control language, DCL statements that occur in the database. The contents of the redo log files are invaluable in the event of instance recovery, which in turn occurs when the database is terminated abnormally and an instance failure occurs. At the time of failure, some of the changes recorded in the redo log files would have been written to disk, while others would still be happening and still others pending. Now, because the actual writes to disk are much slower than the actual statement being issued by the user, there are some changes that are still to be done. On the other hand, there may be changes that were written to disk for which the completion of the transaction had not been recorded at the time of instance failure. The process of instance recovery is performed by the SMON background process. For changes that are pending and must be committed, the SMON background process will roll forward the changes using the redo log files, whereas for uncommitted changes that need to be undone, this will also be done using the redo log files. Redo log files are contained in a logical structure called a redo log group. A redo log group is a container of redo log files where the file is called a redo log member. So the actual physical file that you see at the operating system level is the redo log member. Every database must have a minimum of 2 redo log groups with one single member each. You can have more members in a group as well as more groups than 2. The log writer background process transfers the changes that are first recorded in the redo log buffer in memory to the redo log files in disk in a serial manner. It first writes to the first group and then performs an event called a log switch and starts writing to the next group. In the figure, group 1 consists of one member called r1a.log. Group 2 consists of one member called r2a.log. After the log writer finishes writing to r1a.log, it will perform a log switch and then start writing to the member in group 2 called r2a.log. After completing its write to r2a.log, it will return to write into r1a.log, overwriting the previous contents. Multiplexing of redo log files is the addition of redo log members to a redo log group. It is a good practice to have more than one member in a group. Members are created to achieve fault tolerance. Members of a group should be created on different disks. This is so that if you lose a disk, the other member of the group will still be available on the disk that is intact. The log writer writes to all the members of a group simultaneously. The members of a group are all of the same size. Members from different groups need not be of the same size. In the figure, there are two groups, Group 1 and Group 2. There are two disks marked as disk 1 and disk 2. Group 1 has got two members. The first member is called r1a.log on disk 1. Its second member, called r1b.log, is on disk 2. Group 2 has also got two members. Its first member, called r2a.log, is on disk 1, and its second member, called r2b.log, is on disk 2. We'll now go over some of the maintenance tasks associated with redo log files. If you are using Optimal Flexible Architecture OFA, redo log files can be found under the Oracle base/oradata/database name directory. On this slide, the Oracle base is /u01/app/oracle, and all the redo log files are found under this directory in a directory called oradata/orcl, where orcl is the name of our database. Now suppose there are two groups with a single member each. Group 1 has a member called r1a.log. Group 2 has a member called r2a.log. The task to perform is to add a second member to Group 1 called r1b.log. The syntax to add a redo log file member is on this slide. It is alter database, add log file member, followed by the name and the location of the redo log file member, followed by the keyword to, group, and then the group number. In the example, the second member to group 1 was being added using the command alter database add log file member /u01/app/oracle/oradata/orcl/r1b.log to group 1. On this slide, the task is to add a third group to the database. Suppose there are two groups with a single member each. Group 1 has a member called r1a.log. Group 2 has a member called r2a.log. A third group called Group 3 is being added with a single member called r3a.log, where the size of this member is to be 1 megabyte. The syntax to add a redo log group is on this slide. It is alter database add log file group followed by the group number. This is then followed by the name and the location of the redo log file member, which would be in this group, followed by the keyword size and a value that is defined in kilobytes or megabytes, which identifies the size of the redo log member. In the example, alter database add log file group 3 /u01/app/oracle/oradata/orcl/r3a.log size 1 megabyte. The group 3 was being added with a single member of size 1 megabyte. Here we're looking at another administrative task that can be performed on redo log groups. You can drop or remove a member from a group. If a group has got only one member, you cannot drop the member. Rather, you must drop the group. On the slide, you can see two groups where Group 1 has a member called has two members and Group 2 has a single member. The task to perform is to drop the member called r1b.log from Group 1. A redo log file member can be dropped from the database only when it is in an inactive state. The syntax to drop a redo log member is on this slide. It is alter database drop log file member followed by the name and the location of the redo log file member to be dropped. In the example, the member called r1b.log is being dropped by using the command alter database drop log file member /u01/app/oracle/oradata/orcl/r1b.log . Here you're looking at another administrative task that can be performed on redo log groups. You can drop or remove a group from the database. However, you must note that if a database has got only two groups, neither of them can be dropped, as a minimum of two groups must be available for every Oracle database. On the slide, there are three groups: Group 1, Group 2, and Group 3. Each group has a single member. The task to perform is to drop Group 3. Group 3 can be dropped only if it is in an inactive state. The syntax to drop a redo log group is on this slide. It is alter database drop log file group followed by the group number. In the example, group 3 is being dropped using the command alter database drop log file group 3. In this tutorial, I gave you an overview of the redo log files of the Oracle database. For other videos, tutorials, and articles, you can take a look at the oraclecoach.com website. Thank you for your time and thank you for listening.